You know, it's funny when it comes around to being right a lot. A lot of people don't correlate myself with rightness for whatever reason. I mean, I've said some outlandish things that turned out to be wrong, and then I'm always like, hey, that was my bad. I took a guess with that, or I heard wrong, or whatever, and I have no problems admitting that kind of stuff. But when it comes to a situation like this, you know, I was right, and I was 100% right. And people out there who claim to be tech savvy and like these really, you know, hey, I know what I'm talking about. I built a PC. You know, it's a PC is the same thing. Like, you know, those types of people. We all know who we're talking about here. Come on, let's get out of here. You know, it starts with an R, middle D, last X. You know, anything but a real deal, in my opinion. With that being said, it is so nice to have these things turn out to be right. For me personally, and I think that, you know, what we're seeing is this is kind of coming to fruition, kind of how I thought it would, maybe even a little bit sooner than I thought it would. But yeah, this is definitely some interesting stuff, and I'm sure you guys will want to slap the like button and hear about it. So let's get started. What's up, everybody? Crapgamer here with Crapgamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I really do appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. It helps out. You know what? And it just means a lot. I'm rebuilding. It takes time. I understand it. So just anything pretty much helps out at this particular time. So yeah, thank you guys very much. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to jump into this because we got an idea now of Metro Exodus enhanced running on Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, and the PlayStation 5. Now, interestingly enough, between the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, the game is running almost kind of the same. Like, it has slightly higher resolution on Series X, but the main problem is that the performance is far and away better on the PlayStation 5, which means what do they do? They're going to obviously lower the resolution on the Xbox Series X and bring it down so that they can get the performance to go back up. So what this says is an advantage for the Xbox Series X is mitigated when it comes to the matter of performance, where they generally found that the PlayStation 5 has a significant advantage in locking in 60 frames per second. Sony's new console delivers a Metro Exodus experience that's super smooth in combat and equally robust in traversing the open world. Similar to Xbox Series X, there can be the odd one frame rate drop, but where I found the PS5 smoother is in areas where I saw some significant stutter on Xbox on Microsoft's machines. Quite why the Xbox version has the issue isn't immediately clear, but I hope this is addressed by the developer, as there's little evidence that it's directly caused by GPU load. Both console versions have significant load time advantages over last-gen equivalents, but doesn't seem to tap into the new storage APIs. So yeah, I mean, that's something to kind of look at right there. Side by side, the games look better on both, obviously, but just seeing that the PlayStation 5 version, they're both using dynamic resolution. Obviously, the Metro games are pretty heavy when it comes to like ray tracing and stuff like that. The main thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, which I found this to be very interesting, was the Xbox Series S version, which a lot of people act like, you know, listen, I like the Xbox Series S. I think, you know, it's a good kind of entry point or whatever, but I also feel like maybe they skimped a little bit too much, or maybe that console should have been Series X just without a disk drive for $100 more, because when you look at the performance difference between the Series S and the PS5 digital, it's night and day difference, like over double the power and performance for $100 more. So again, they ran the tests on the Series S, and man, crazy here. So the Series S targets 60 frames per second, but resolutions drop dramatically, which actually shows up more artifacting and grain on the ray tracing based global illumination solution. 1080p is the target resolution, but is common with all versions of the game. Dynamic resolution and temporal reconstruction are deployed, accumulating data from previous frames to increase quality of the current one. While 1080p is the target, the console rarely attains it. With 864p, the more usual pixel count may be lower depending on the content. Where the game is at its heaviest in one level, the game attempts to reconstruct up from 512p And even in stills, the image quality suffers significantly where VRS is employed. The blockiness at low resolution is clearly visible, partly due to the fairly limited nature of the Tier 1 implementation. The most visible deviation is settings from the Series X is that the distance for scattered objects like grass and rocks is much lower, resulting in more obvious object pop-in. So the Series S definitely has compromises that are visible, but giving the GPU power above, it makes a lot of sense that that's the problem, with 60 frames per second being the payoff. So who's really to blame for this one? To be honest with you, it's really interesting to see people like, and again, because I like the Series S, but again, I just think that it was a mistake to put that out there the way that they did, and I think that they maybe should have went and did something a little bit differently, because at the end of the day, we're seeing a lot of problems with this, and I think that this is really something that could be a problem long term. The fact that we're seeing games that run at 512p on that, I mean, clearly it's holding, and this is a last gen game just getting an upgrade. Imagine like some of the current gen stuff that we could be seeing from these companies, right? Like, to me, it just seems like it would be, it's just so weird to see this kind of happen at such a resolution, weird resolutions and stuff like that, even having more problems than the Xbox One. So it makes it sound like it maybe is a bit of a mistake, to say the least. And, again, when you see the PlayStation 5 completely outdoing this the way that it has, you sort of maybe just kind of question Microsoft's ideas and thoughts and things like that. And I'm not saying that, for sure that this is the right thing to do, but again, the lowest common denominator, if they're having problems getting this thing running on a Series S, imagine something new. You're trying to get something new running on the Series S. That could be a bit of a problem for the game development of something on a multi-plat on PS5 or a Xbox Series X. So yeah, I do find it to be very interesting to see that these things happen and the way that these things happen. And again, there's hardly any difference between resolution between Xbox and PS5, and yet the performance is much better on the PS5. So yeah, like, it's worth pointing out for sure, and so many people are probably going to try and damage control this, but for me personally, I think it's foolish, because again, they keep giving slightly more resolution to Xbox, and then the Xbox can't handle it. So I just find it funny, because then it ends up going back anyway. So yeah, I think that that's something that a lot of people are going to be talking about. We can make jokes about like the tools and stuff like that, because it is kind of funny, to be honest with you, that we talk about the tools and we talk about the stuff that happens, and I just find it to be very interesting, the way that like people pick and choose what to talk about when it comes to Xbox and PlayStation. So I mean, for me personally, so far, I do think that it is kind of funny, the way that things work out. And, I also think it's kind of ironic how things work out, because everybody expected these huge advantages with Xbox, and it just hasn't happened, folks. It just hasn't happened. So with that being said, I'm going to link all of this in the description. You guys can check that out and let me know what you think. I mean, are you guys surprised by this? I'm just kind of curious. Like, are you guys surprised by the fact that the Xbox Series X is struggling still? I mean, here we are quite a bit into this new generation, and the Xbox is definitely struggling, and the performances are definitely not there like people would think it would be. So yeah, I'm finding that to be a little bit curious, especially because everybody said it was going to be a slam dunk for multiplats, and again, we're not really seeing that. So yeah, I find that to be completely interesting, and I love talking about it, because it's just something that I find to be worthwhile, because everybody just assumed that we would see all these amazing things on Xbox and it would just blow everything away, and the fact that it hasn't happened is interesting to me. Very, very interesting. So Hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from with this. It's not really a knock. It's just I'm talking about it because it's worthwhile talking about. So with that being said, I would really appreciate you guys slapping that like button and let me know what you think. Challenge still out there for anybody and everybody. Step up. Get knocked out. That's all I'm gonna say, man. I on the mic, I just find it, hard to believe that anybody would beat any of my points. So, with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. Rack 'em up. Crapgamer out.